Namaskar, this is Akhilesh Bhargava. Welcome to Tit-Bits on Business and Finance with me. Among the big ones, the biggies as we would call it, who have damaged and defrauded India's banks and financial institutions the most. And we are not referring to rogue borrowers like Nirav Modi and Mehul Chokshi, but among these big delinquents, that one person who's being probably punished and shamed the most has been Chanda Kochhar, the former CEO of ICICI Bank, who was sacked on charges of corruption, criminal misconduct, and violating the code of conduct of a bank. She has faced unremitting investigation by agencies and authorities like CBI, Enforcement Directorate, Income Tax Department, and SEBI, and cases do continue to mount against her. In our opinion, the entire matter against her gained traction, particularly after the Justice B.N. Sri Krishna panel appointed by ICICI Bank as an inquiry found her guilty of having violated the code of conduct of the bank for personal gains. Thereafter, the bank, which used to be a silent spectator in her matters, was forced to become an active adversary, and it was compelled to take action against her, which also explains why more and more momentum is being gained in cases against her. The recent action against her was by the Enforcement Directorate. The Enforcement Directorate recently seized assets belonging to Chanda Kochhar and her husband in Mumbai, and these assets have been seized by it on charges of money laundering, on charges of these assets being what are called proceeds of crime. On the other hand, the investigation and process by CBI continues, and also by the Income Tax Department, which has been pursuing cases against her. In yet another development, ICICI Bank has taken Chanda Kochhar to court. ICICI Bank has been demanding that all the bonuses, incentives, and variable pay which were paid to her between 2006 to 2018 should be given back to the bank, and that amounts to about 12 crore rupees. Its case is that it was in 2016 December that Chanda Kochhar, who at that time was certainly ruling the roost and was in her prime, at that point of time, she had signed an agreement with the bank agreeing that in case she was found guilty of gross negligence or breach of integrity, in that case, all the bonus, incentives, and the variable pay would be refunded by her back to the bank. And that is what the bank is now demanding in a court case against her. She, on the other hand, has been fighting this case tooth and nail. According to her, since her dismissal by the bank was illegal, that's what she claims, she has got no responsibility to return back this amount to the bank as is being claimed. The court proceedings continue, and the chances are very bright that the court might hold that she is required to refund back this 12 crores to the bank. The reality is that during her prime, she was a very well decorated and respected bank CEO. It is extremely unfortunate that she has been found guilty of these kind of offences by the Justice B.N. Sri Krishna panel, and it is for this reason that she rightly deserves to be punished in the harshest manner. And what we are seeing today is perhaps the agencies are moving towards it. They are moving towards punishing her, and down the line, if the courts are convinced, she might be convicted of these kind of crimes. But very strangely, the zeal with which we see the authorities pursuing the Chanda Kochhar case, we do not see that at all in other similar cases. There have been cases of a similar crime magnitude or maybe a more serious magnitude, but we really don't see agencies taking commensurate action. Take the case of Rana Kapoor. He also indulged in these kind of malpractices. During his tenure, Yes Bank indulged in falsification of accounts. Reckless loans were given on a large scale. Public money was wasted. He brought reputational risk to the bank, just as Chanda Kochhar's conduct brought reputational risk to ICICI Bank. During his tenure, there were massive regulatory lapses on the part of Yes Bank. And what is it today? We do not see against him the kind of cases that have been filed by agencies in the case of Chanda Kochhar. On the contrary, he has sold his entire stake in the bank, and he has certainly worked out in an honorable retirement, if we may say so. His exit has not had the kind of cases that are being pursued as we see in the other case of Chanda Kochhar. He has left the bank in such a pathetic condition that despite being its CEO for a year now, Ravneet Gill, the new CEO, has not been able to attract a single investor to invest in the bank. And in our view, the damage that he has caused to Yes Bank is certainly far more serious than the damage that was caused to ICICI Bank by Chanda Kochhar. But then, Rana Kapoor has had a far better treatment in similar circumstances and situations. Or take the other case of Deloitte and IL&FS. If IL&FS managed to perpetrate a huge fraud, then it was because of the active complicity of Deloitte as its auditor. Deloitte was actively involved in the kind of accounting malpractices that took place in the bank in order to show a rosy picture, in order to hide its pathetic state of affairs. And for managing such a situation, the IL&FS group used to pay by way of professional fees, or rather under the garb of professional fees, a sum of about 20 crores a year to Deloitte. That is what Deloitte got from IL&FS for having compromised its integrity and independence. We did see the agencies questioning the partners of Deloitte, but after that, we are not seeing the kind of action that we have seen in the case of Chanda Kochhar. If Deloitte was paid 20 crores a year, roughly for a decade by IL&FS group, then why is that money not being confiscated or attached by the authorities like ED or otherwise? They also need to be punished and disgorged from the kind of proceeds they earn by having participated in a very scammy state of affairs of IL&FS. What we are seeing, according to us, is a very kid-glove treatment to Deloitte. No action being taken commensurate with the kind of crime they indulge in. In our opinion, their misconduct was of a more serious gravity than that of Chanda Kochhar. Or otherwise, take the case of the independent directors of IL&FS. They were mute spectators. If they had performed their duties diligently, that kind of a large scam or fraud would not have taken place. But then, they were men of eminence. They were men with enough influence in the system, and they too have walked away. We don't see the kind of action that should be taken against them. We really hope that this doesn't happen in the case of the PMC Bank. The PMC Bank was de facto owned, controlled and managed by the Vadhwans of HDIL, and we do hope that in their case, agencies do take commensurate action. But if history is any kind of an indicator, if you are perhaps an extremely influential person, the agencies might just go slow on you. That's what we see when we compare the case of the likes of Chanda Kochhar with Rana Kapoor and Deloitte. The larger picture here, according to us, is there have been many who have committed serious banking and financial crimes. We see that there is a variance in the kind of punishment which is being meted out. If individuals or institutions have indulged in malpractices of a similar magnitude of crime, then even the punishment has to be similar. But we are not seeing that. And that perhaps is because some of the delinquents are still influential in the system and have the ability to game the system. That is perhaps the reason why we are seeing this differential in punishment, or someone being punished and the others having an honorable exit. In our opinion, if we want to cure the ills of India's banking and financial system, then this will have to stop. If delinquents are punished, they must be punished with the same yardstick, and there cannot be any kind of a difference between the two. Otherwise, the lesson is, if you are well connected in the system and you can game it, then you might probably walk away honorably even after committing malpractices for which others are punished in a similar situation. This, according to us, needs to be looked into and stopped. This is Akhilesh Bhargava signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.